Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
Attorney John Deaton writes to SEC Commissioner Lee publicly on social media, asking her to answer whether or not she thinks appearances of impropriety at the highest level matter at the SEC. And he goes on to highlight the reason that Jay Clayton should have recused himself on the topic of whether or not to bring a lawsuit against Ripple. As it turns out, whether or not the SEC ended up suing Ripple would impact Clayton's personal interests. And Commissioner Lee, she's also one of the 5 commissioners that voted in favor of bringing legal action against Ripple, claiming that Ripple actually sold XRP as an unregistered security. Also, and I'll actually be starting with this story, but the SEC has also expanded its irrational stance on why the 63 Hinman-related emails and Estabrook notes should not see the light of day. Yes, things have gotten even more ridiculous. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. Just an enthusiast here who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby, and just for fun. Damn it. Shout out to attorney James K. Filan, who shared this most recent legal filing from the SEC, and he wrote the following. SEC files letter claiming Judge Torres' ruling on the motions to dismiss makes SEC internal documents, including the Hinman emails and the Estabrook notes, irrelevant, and that the SEC should not have to disclose them. And so before I give you a rundown of what the legal document actually said, just a refresher on what the Hinman emails are and the Estabrook notes. The Hinman emails, there's 63 emails associated with Billy Boy Hinman's former SEC Director of Corporation Finance, Billy Boy Hinman. It's related to his speech that he gave on June 14th, 2018, his Ethereum free pass speech, and his rationale for why he didn't think there was, at that point, that there was a central authority regarding Ether. And so there are the 63 emails leading up to this point, and the SEC has provided an additional argument as to why these emails should not be released. And as far as the Estabrook notes, these are the notes that Matthew Estabrook took. He's a lawyer who was with the SEC, employed by the SEC until I think January of this year. Well, he took notes dating back to, I could be mistaken now. Maybe it was like November of 2020. It was a bit before, maybe it was 2019. I think it was 2020, but it was before the SEC sued Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse met with an SEC commissioner, one of the 5 people that would vote on whether or not anything, the SEC is going to go after any person or entity claiming any sort of potential securities fraud, or was there an ICO, and anything along those lines, whether or not to bring a legal action. This is one of 5 people on the planet that gets to vote on that. So Brad met with one of those individuals, Elad Roisman, and he was told by Elad Roisman that he didn't think that XRP was a security. And so Matthew Estabrook is a lawyer there, and he was just observing and taking notes. Those notes would likely corroborate what Brad Garlinghouse had to say, and so the SEC doesn't want those notes to see the light of day either. And so I came across this tweet in response to James K. Filan, attorney Filan, sharing this legal document. XRP community member Brian Monarch wrote the following. Have you ever seen an organization make it more obvious that there are really bad things in a sealed document before? And I was sitting there thinking, ding, ding, ding. Exactly. The lengths that the SEC is going to try and prevent Ripple from seeing these documents, it's extreme, and it is appearing desperate. Like, I can't think of anything else that they've gone to greater lengths to cover up and fight against in this entire case. Over a year now, I haven't seen anything like this. What does that tell you? There's something in there. And so on that topic, actually, attorney John Deaton, he shares the sentiment. He wrote the following. This is more evidence that this motion is the biggest one in the case. Like I said, what is the likelihood that one person in a 63 email chain in 2018 while XRP and ETH were battling for the number 2 spot, replied with the words, "What about XRP?" So think about that. If there's just one person in here at the SEC just says, "What about XRP?" Even if it's just that. Now it could be much more disastrous for the SEC than that, depending on how it's worded. Somebody says, "I don't think XRP is a security. We don't believe XRP is a security. We're not sure XRP is a security." Any of that would be disastrous for the SEC's case. It would be very, very bad, because if these individuals at the SEC weren't sure, how the hell was Brad Garlinghouse and everybody else over at Ripple supposed to know that's what's going on? Now, as far as this document, I'm not going to read. It's actually on your screen right now. I'm going to try and get away with not reading any of the specifics. If you want to pause anywhere along the way, if you want to check it out yourself, you can just kind of do that. I'm just kind of scrolling down here. But I just want to give you the synopsis of this. That's pretty much it. I think that will be sufficient to get across the idea what they have what they're arguing here. Because the SEC is arguing that the 63 Hinman emails and the Estabrook notes are not relevant to the case and should not have to be produced by the SEC. Now, the reason they're saying this largely comes down to scienter. And regarding scienter, as a quick refresher here, it's defined as following by legaldictionary.net. Scienter, the mental state of one who intends to deceive or defraud another person. Scienter refers to a person's mental state at the time he allegedly committed a crime. Specifically, scienter refers to whether the individual intentionally and knowingly acted with the intent to defraud or manipulate, or if the results of his actions were simply caused by a mistake or accident. Scienter is a Latin term which translates to knowledge. Therefore, and this is the key part, therefore, someone who acts with scienter is fully aware of what he is doing and the consequences that can result, yet goes ahead with it anyway. And so the question at stake here is, did Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, everybody else, in particular, we're talking about Brad and Chris here, did Brad and Chris know that what they were doing, the way that they were going to market, leading Ripple, and how they were utilizing XRP, did they know that any of what they were doing was illegal? Did they? And so that's why, again, the SEC's arguing. It's an argument based on scienter, and they're arguing that, again, the 63 Hinman emails and Estabrook notes should not be relevant to the case. Shouldn't have to produce those documents. And the reason has to do with the most recent ruling. Well, one of the most recent rulings from Judge Torres, because didn't dismiss the case against Brad and Chris. So again, the reason they are saying this, like I said, largely comes down to scienter. The SEC is arguing that upon Judge Torres' refusal to dismiss the charges against Brad and Chris, she noted that only facts matter, not what Brad and Chris were thinking. Judge Torres wrote the following. So actually, I will read this one sentence here. The SEC, and this is from Judge Torres, as cited by the SEC in this document. The SEC has plausibly alleged that the individual defendants had knowledge of or recklessly disregarded the facts that allegedly made Ripple's sale of XRP amount to the unregistered sale of securities, end quote. Which means the SEC is arguing to Judge Netburn that Judge Torres declared that the facts of the case are what determine right or wrong, meaning the events that actually happened in real life, not whether or not Brad and Chris knew that those acts were wrong. So that's why, again, it goes back to scienter. That's what they're arguing. The SEC says this is important because if scienter doesn't matter and only the facts of the case and real-world occurrences matter, then whatever individual employees wrote in the 63 Hinman emails don't matter, because the SEC employees' personal opinions don't matter either, right? And however, the Judge Torres, what Judge Torres actually argued in that snippet that I highlighted just a moment ago, is that the SEC plausibly charged Brad and Chris based on facts, but she did not state that their scienter was irrelevant, which makes the SEC's argument to keep these 63 Hinman emails sealed completely disingenuous. It's another instance of the SEC lawyers arguing something that is so illogical that it's hard to believe that they actually believe the position they're arguing actually makes logical sense. And they're also arguing that these 63 emails and Estabrook notes should not be considered even if deliberative process privilege does not apply. Even if the SEC's argument of privilege doesn't stand, the SEC is literally saying, even if the court won't let them claim privilege over those documents, that they are still not to be considered in this case due to the scienter argument. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Completely ridiculous. Now, I'm not done with the ridiculous portion of this, though. It gets even more ridiculous. XRP community member Stefan Huber tweeted out the following. The SEC has made another 180-degree turnaround. 3 weeks ago, the SEC claimed that the Estabrook notes were only relevant if Garlinghouse's motion to dismiss was denied. And by the way, pause. That is what happened. The judge found that for both Brad and Chris, their motion to dismiss the charges against them there was to be denied, meaning that court case against them proceeding. Anyway, Stefan continues that. Now the SEC claims the Estabrook notes are irrelevant because the motion to dismiss was denied. I am tired. So again, no matter what was going to happen, they're like, no, the notes shouldn't apply. These notes, for 63 Hinman emails, Estabrook notes, no. It doesn't apply either way. So they literally argued one thing, and then the thing happened, and then they just argued the other side of it again. We have seen this before, right? And so the question is like, do they think that the judge is stupid, or is this just incompetency? Either way, it's bad. The SEC is not exactly running a solid campaign here, if you will. And so John Deaton retweeted that from XRP community member Stefan Huber and wrote the following. I've said from the day they responded to the writ of mandamus until now, the SEC attorneys are 100% transactional with their arguments. Each argument is a new one, and nothing they've argued before is relevant. I've never seen so many inconsistent arguments in a single case. John Deaton's been doing this for a while, so take that to heart. Never seen so many inconsistent arguments in a single case. Freaking asshats at the SEC, man. Alright, on to the next topic now. Allison Heron-Lee, SEC Commissioner, one of the 5 people that votes on whether or not to bring legal action against people, entities, so on and so forth, and did vote to bring this legal complaint against Ripple, so she thinks it makes sense. Well, she's actually moving on from the SEC, so here's a headline here from Young Finance. I don't really want to read the article, I'm just highlighting it so you know. She plans to leave the SEC, and I think she's still there through like the end of June or something like that. Well, she wrote this piece just within the last couple weeks or so, March 4th, 2020. That's this piece that's on your screen right now, and I'm not going to read through any of it, I'm not interested in it, but she's been talking about the importance of, appearances of impropriety, this and that, and she had this Twitter thread, which I also don't feel like reading on this channel, but I did check it out. I'll spare you. The gist of it is, we need to have good optics here. We went with the appearances of impropriety. It's that type of message. And I agree with that message. I bet you listening to this agree with that message. I know John Deaton agrees with that message. He's been preaching it as well. But does that apply to the highest levels of the SEC, the SEC officials? Does it apply there? Well, here's what John Deaton had to say. Commissioner Allison Heron-Lee, you state, quote, we still have not fulfilled Congress's mandate under Section 307 of Sarbanes-Oxley to adopt minimum standards of professional conduct for attorneys appearing and practicing before the Commission in the representation of issuers, end quote. But I ask, what about the minimum standards of senior leadership positions at the SEC, such as the chairman of the directors of divisions such as corporation finance and enforcement? Commissioner, do you agree conflicts of interest and appearances of impropriety should be avoided? Director Hinman collected $15 million from a law firm tied to the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance while at the SEC. Ethereum investors helped write his speech, giving Ethereum a free pass. He's partners with them today. Chairman Clayton agreed he would recuse himself from voting on a matter involving his firm's clients. Yet, he voted to sue Ripple and XRP, direct competitors of Consensus and Ethereum, his firm's client, which acquired JP Morgan's Quorum and JPM Coin, a competitor to Ripple. Isn't that infuriating? I'll just pause. Why would he not recuse himself? Now that we know all this is true, what business did Jay Clayton have voting in any capacity on this topic? Of course there's a conflict of interest here and an appearance of impropriety. John continues. Additionally, 2 months before voting to sue Ripple and XRP, One River made a $1 billion bet on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Clayton directed the lawsuit's filing on his last full day at the SEC. Within weeks of leaving the SEC, Clayton was hired by One River. Director of Enforcement Berger helped draft the Ripple/XRP complaint, but he immediately left to go to Enterprise Ethereum Alliance member Simpson Thatcher. Before anyone dismisses these improprieties as conspiracy theories, they should read the Grunfest letter. And he provides a link to that. I've already covered it a number of times on my channel, so I'm not going to get into it here. Anyway, John continues. Of course, you've read the Grunfest letter, considering it was addressed to the Commission prior to the lawsuit. Professor Grunfest isn't biased. He believes in the SEC. He helped Ether investors, so he's no conspiracy theorist. Before the Commission demands minimum standards be set for the lawyers appearing before it, I'm sure you will agree. The Commission and SEC staff should lead by example. If you agree, you will support an investigation into these conflicts. Let's restore the public's faith. Whew. Golf clap for Mr. Deaton, everybody. Tearing it up as usual. Now, I'm not anticipating a response back from SEC Commissioner Allison Herron-Lee, because I doubt that she even gives a damn. I don't know. If you care, you do respond. That's the thing. Like, if you care, you do respond. And what have we seen from her consistently? She seems to be on board with Gary Gensler's approach to all this, and she doesn't seem to care to what degree the crypto asset class gets hammered, despite all sorts of irrational, illogical thinking that results in the landscape we see today. I don't see her speaking anything along those lines, or anything to help entrepreneurs that are trying to build real products in the space. I don't see anything along those lines from her. I don't see any concerns about appearances of impropriety coming out of her mouth. Nothing like that. So I'm not anticipating a response, but still, it's worth highlighting this stuff.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.